Underneath an ordinary-looking home in Tijuana, hidden beneath a layer of freshly laid tile, agents uncovered one of the most ambitious smuggling operations ever attempted, a nearly 3,000-foot tunnel stretching from Mexico to the United States. On the surface, the residents blended into the Nueva Tijuana neighborhood, indistinguishable from the dozens of other homes lining the street. Inside, however, it concealed the entrance to an underground artery carved by cartel engineers with precision, secrecy, and an almost obsessive drive to outmaneuver law enforcement. The discovery of this tunnel wasn't a fluke. It was the product of months of coordinated investigation, intelligence sharing, and surveillance that brought together U.S. Border Patrol and Mexican police in a rare display of binational cooperation. Their confidence, built on layers of reinforced concrete, was a flimsy curtain before the storm. What they found beneath the floor was more than just a hole in the ground. It was a reminder of the relentless innovation of cartel networks and the enormous stakes of border security. The tunnel itself was staggering in both scale and design. Roughly 42 inches high and 28 inches wide, it was dug 50 feet below the surface, a depth specifically chosen to evade the shallow sensors and radar sweeps used in typical border enforcement. It was reinforced with sophisticated infrastructure. Investigators noted electrical wiring running along its walls, installed lighting for safe navigation, ventilation systems to sustain airflow underground, and even a rail system designed to ferry contraband efficiently across the border. This wasn't a crude passage hacked out with shovels. It was an industrial-scale operation, a testament to the resources and technical skill of the Sinaloa cartel. A team of engineers and specialized laborers had to be involved, not just a few men with pickaxes. The mountain, once their shield, became a monument to their miscalculation. The deeper they dug, the more certain their eventual ruin. They were digging their own grave. The construction of the tunnel was a marvel of criminal engineering, yet its design revealed the inherent flaws in their strategic thinking. The effort to build such a passage for the sole purpose of transporting contraband spoke to a singular, all-consuming focus on a single objective to the exclusion of all else. The more intricate the design, the more points of failure it created. The more complex the system, the more susceptible it became to the simplest of countermeasures. It was a race against time and technology they could not win. They fired first. We simply ensured they wouldn't fire again. The destruction of the tunnel was carried out with a methodical precision that mirrored its discovery. The Border Patrol and Mexican police, in a joint operation, used a calculated series of detonations to collapse the structure from within. This was not a symbolic act. It was a tactical destruction designed to make reconstruction impossible. The explosives were placed to trigger a cascade effect, ensuring the structural integrity was completely compromised. What took them years to bury took seconds to exhume.
Before we get to that, I need your help. I'm trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I need your help. So I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and help me out.
The mountain, once their shield, became a monument to their miscalculation. The operation was a masterclass in controlled dominance, a demonstration of overwhelming force without unnecessary fanfare. The team's approach was surgical. The objective was not to create spectacle, but to permanently eliminate the threat. This was about more than a single tunnel. It was a direct message to every cartel that persistence pays, and that no investment in criminal infrastructure is truly safe. This was a statement in concrete and steel, a strategic victory that went beyond the immediate tactical benefit. It was a decisive end to a beginning they had so meticulously planned. Their sophisticated radar, tuned to detect the known, was deaf to the inevitable. Their investment, once a mark of their ambition, became the very tool of their humiliation. The destruction was a decisive blow to the cartel's logistics and its reputation. It forced them to abandon a multi-million-dollar asset and reevaluate their entire smuggling strategy. The financial loss was immense, but the psychological damage was immeasurable. The cartel's mystique of invincibility had been shattered. They were no longer the shadowy figures operating with impunity. They were the architects of their own collapsed monument. Every dollar they poured into their underground empire now carried the risk of becoming nothing more than a collapsed shaft and a press conference declaring victory. The operation's success was a testament to the effectiveness of a multi-agency, multinational approach. The cooperation between U.S. Border Patrol and Mexican authorities, a rarity in the complex world of border security, was the key. They showed that when strategic collaboration is employed, no barrier is insurmountable, and no adversary is untouchable. The tunnel's destruction was a symbol of this cooperation. A collaborative approach proved to be the Achilles heel of their secretive, compartmentalized criminal network. The tunnel, their supposed fortress, was a self-defeating design, a brilliant plan with a fatal, obvious flaw. The destruction was a message of control, not emotion. This was not gloating. It was a debriefing. Every step, from the initial intel to the final detonation, was part of a larger, systemic dismantlement. The fact they spent years on a project we could erase in minutes tells its own story. That a 3,000-foot super tunnel could be destroyed? That is theater. It is spectacle. It is a broadcast to every stakeholder that even the grandest cartel projects can vanish in smoke and rubble. This scale magnifies the humiliation, because the higher the ambition, the greater the fall. And that is the essence of this destruction. It is not just about blocking one route. It is about undermining faith in the very strategy of tunnel building. It is about forcing cartels to spend more, risk more, and fear more with each new attempt. It is about showing communities, governments, and cartel members alike that persistence pays, and that no investment in criminal infrastructure is truly safe. The tunnel's destruction leaves behind more than concrete and debris. It leaves behind a narrative that the million-dollar ingenuity of cartels can be undone by the persistence of law enforcement, that the myth of invincibility crumbles when exposed to the patience of surveillance and the power of cooperation, and that for every dollar cartels pour into their underground empire, there is a risk that it will all end in nothing more than a collapsed shaft and a press conference declaring victory. That is why this event resonates far beyond the border where it was discovered. It is a symbolic warning shot across the entire criminal underworld. Even the deepest tunnels cannot bury the reach of law enforcement.